Here's what some people are saying about the Projection Booth podcast.
The Projection Booth is single-handedly the greatest film podcast you could ever listen to or could possibly want.
Top notch. 5 stars. This has quickly become one of my favorite film-related podcasts. Always interesting.
A completely unpretentious yet fully comprehensive look at films from all genres.
The Projection Booth podcast, with new episodes available every week at projectionboothpodcast.com.
You are listening to the In the Mouth of Dorkness podcast. Here are Brad, Billy, and Darren.
Welcome to another edition of the ITMOD podcast. With me is Brad Gullickson, Mouth Dork.
Good evening.
And also joining us is Billy Das,
But
the
also
Indie Dork.
maybe good morning.
Oh, wait, what?
It could be evening or afternoon or morning. We don't know.
Oh.
They're probably doing their laundry right now.
Oh.
The listeners, the
Oh.
dorks.
Time is a flat circle.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't seen that show.
I do a lot of podcast listening in the car. That's probably where I imagine most people do it.
Yeah, so morning or afternoon for me.
Right.
So good morning.
Maybe
and
in
good
the
afternoon.
shower. I don't know. I also do podcasting in the shower.
Good showers morn.
All right, yeah, that. Welcome to the ITMOD podcast, CHATcast. This episode, we have the one and only Sarah Adina Smith, the writer and director of the new film Buster's Mall Heart, starring, how do you pronounce his name? Rami Malek?
Yes.
Of Mr. Robot fame?
Yes.
Need for Speed.
He was in Need for Speed?
You're damn right. He was
Yeah,
the
he
best
was.
thing in Need for Speed.
That's all.
I remember watching that movie going like, I wish the whole film revolved around this guy.
Aaron Paul?
Yeah, the Aaron Paul film. Yeah.
Kid Cudi?
Yeah.
He was in that?
Yes. He's the best thing in it. You need to rewatch that after you do a barefoot walkabout.
Oh, yeah. All right. And to get that reference, you got to listen to this interview. So, Billy, thanks for hooking this up. How'd this come about?
So this was one of the ones where I reached out to Sarah when we found out that that her movie was going to be going to Tribeca, and as part of the Tribeca project, we decided to go ahead and roll the interview out to it. But I mean, honestly, it's a small world because Snowfort Pictures, who we interviewed in the Shallow Pocket Project on the Chatcast, they are co-producers in this movie along with Game Changer Film. So, like, Travis Stevens is the one who hooked us up with the person-to-person intro. So those guys are awesome.
Yeah. Thank you again, Travis Stevens and Snowfort Pictures, for all that you have done for this series. So a really cool interview. She's a very, very insightful, intelligent filmmaker. I can't wait for everyone to listen. I can't wait for everyone to watch the film. If you haven't seen it already, it should be rolling out
On the 28th of April is it's a limited release, but in the DC area it'll be at the Angelica pop-up. If you got an Angelica in your area, it'll probably be there, but keep an eye out for this. This is one you don't want to miss in the theater.
That's right. All right, so here you go, ladies and gentlemen. Sarah Adina Smith.
Welcome along to the podcast. We're here with Sarah Adina Smith, who is the director of The Midnight Swim, a director and writer, I should say, of The Midnight Swim, which is streaming on Netflix. If you have not seen that movie, I encourage you to go out and take a look at it. And then we are here to talk about her latest movie, which is Buster's Mall Heart, and that is going to be airing at Tribeca. I think it's been at a number of film festivals. You were at Fantastic Fest for it, I think. Couple of others.
Yeah, we premiered at TIFF and then did a little festival run, Fantastic Fest, AFI, and and then we're gonna play Tribeca, and then we're opening in real life in theaters, starting April 28th, and then going wider after that.
That's super exciting. How is the wide run going to expand to like? Is it going to get a legit wide run, or is it going to be in kind of a limited theater situation?
Well, it's not, for me, it feels very wide. Because, I think we're in, 35 theaters right now.
Yeah.
Right? That feels kind of legit. And they tell me that it might go further than that, just depending on how it does opening weekend. So, everybody who's listening, I will pay you to go, basically.
Nice.
So, hopefully, we'll get to go wider. But it seems like we're getting some bookings, so I'm excited.
No, that's good. It's so we're in the Washington D.C. area, and we have a couple of Alamo Draft Houses local to us, and the one in Winchester does a biannual. That's the one where you do it twice a year. Biannual. They do a biannual film festival, and the one that just ran in March, Buster's Malheart, was the surprise screening, the secret sneak screening that they put to it. And it was divisive. There was some commentary after. Oh yeah, it didn't really connect with some people, but then I think the people who it connected with, they fucking love that movie. For me,
did they punch each other? Did it come to blows?
No, they're not a fighty crowd. It's not quite Fantastic Fest level of boisterousness. But no, there was lively debate in the aftermath of that.
It was intellectual discord.
Oh yeah.
Well, good.
I mean, it was what I would say is that it really spawned some diehards, though, and I was one of them. And I think once you hooked into a particular type of crowd, you've got a fan for life.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I want the names of everyone who didn't like it, so that I can...
We can make that happen. We'll make some lists. We'll get a posse. We'll round them up, and we'll tell them what for.
Yeah, exactly. And we'll make them watch really bad movies over and over again for the rest of their life.
So I, like Brad said, we were amongst the pros on Buster's Malheart. I think, for coming out of that, for me, we saw Colossal in the same run. We saw Buster's Malheart.
Cool.
Those were at the top of the list for me. But it's Buster's Malheart. You watch this movie, it's fucking challenging to watch. You're not making it easy for people as they're kind of going through and consuming this. How much? Off the top of my head, how much? There's a fella in there who is very pro conspiracy theories, and he, expounds at great length some, wild shit about Y2K and his theories about the inversion. How much research are you putting into kooks in your prep for the writing of this, or is this off the top of your head? Are you a devotee?
I don't have to that shit's just me. I didn't have to go too far for his dialogue, just because it felt I just sometimes think that way. So I just was able to write that stuff. But yeah, I mean, I was definitely one of the people. I tapped into some feelings I had. I was definitely one of the whack jobs who really believed Y2K was it, and that we were all going to die by mutually assured destruction. Because our nukes were pointing at Russia, and thers were pointing at us, and there was going to be a glitch in the computer, and one of them was going to go off, and then everyone was going to... So I would definitely... I said goodbye to life. For some reason, I thought it was going to be midnight Colorado time, by the way, is what I thought, is when it was all going to go down. So the clock struck midnight, and I was like, it's been grand. Goodbye, life. And it didn't happen.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what else? Okay, so now we know that you maybe are a crazy person, and that you think outlandish and fun things. That's exciting to know. But what do you consume? I mean, because when I'm watching,
that's why it's confusing for me, because people keep telling me that this is a difficult movie that's hard to understand, and for me, it seems very straightforward. So it's not like I was setting out to be difficult. Yeah. I just if anything, I thought, is this too obvious and on the nose? I should be pulling back. So I certainly wasn't trying to be oblique.
I think what I responded so positively towards was how the film just sort of drops you in their lives. There's very little exposition, backstory. You're just in it. And when the concepts of the inversion come around, you're trying to get ahead of the movie, and the movie never allows you to get ahead of it.
Yeah. I guess I just try and make a movie that I want to watch. And I think I like movies that do that sort of give you, they're basically inviting you to look through a window into another world, but they're not going to spell it all out for you. You just have to be a voyeur, and you're spying on something already going on. So I guess I try to make movies where it's you're getting to peer through the window into a world that's already in motion. So I kind of am allergic to exposition and in terms of the path being perfectly laid out for you as a viewer. The kinds of movies I like to see are the ones where you do feel more like a voyeur as an audience member.
Well, I think that's what I That's what I fucking dug about watching the movie is. like, shit, I'm trying to think of the right way to say this, but like, so I enjoy watching a movie where like I feel like what I'm getting is not this bloated expanse of a project. You know, like when you're going out and you're creating brand new worlds for people to explore, and like I think that it's inarguable that the Midnight Swim and Buster's Malnought are not like totally fucking original creations. Like you haven't seen something like this when you're watching it. And I think the temptation for some folks when they try and go down those limbs is to really put a lot of nubbins in there for people to grab onto as they're going along, and that can turn it into this bloated thing. But like when I look at this, I see this streamlined thing where it's like I'm looking through a fucking window at this guy who's going through a thing, and I wind up kind of thinking to myself like, are they crazy? Are they experiencing what they're thinking, or is it real to you when you're writing the characters? Do you think that what they're going through is genuine, and we're getting into that, or is that something that is up to the viewer to kind of figure out on their own?
Well, for me, I like to make movies in both The Midnight Swim and in Buster's Malnought. From a distance, the protagonist looks crazy, and you can kind of write them off as crazy. But I like to make movies where if the viewer allows themselves to slip inside of the protagonist's skin and see the world through their eyes, that maybe, just maybe, that character is getting something right about the universe and is offering them some kind of wisdom or truth. I think I like to make movies about crazy protagonists who just might be smarter than we are. But I also think it's a very valid interpretation of the movie that I didn't want to negate people's interpretation of the movie. I think it's totally valid if you see it and you think it's just about a man unraveling and going crazy and doing something, getting into something terrible and being torn apart by that. I think that's totally valid. But for me, I don't like to judge my characters in that way. And I think that perhaps, Jonah's getting something right about the cosmos, and it's sort of, but you're right. It takes a real buy-in from the audience, to get there. I think the Midnight Swim and Buster I do my best to invite people and like give them the opportunity to get that deep with the characters. But, not everybody can surrender themselves that easily. And I think especially like in a world where there's just so many movies and so much media and we're all like our ADD, and like, I definitely am asking for a different kind of attention span, that not everyone's, willing or able to give.
Well, yeah, and I mean that's putting art out into the world, and people are either going to dig it or they're not, and that's okay. And it doesn't necessarily mean that there's something going on with what you're doing, but I think that's what makes it. I mean, that's what makes what you're doing to me art, is that like you got a fucking opinion about what you're doing, and you're making some hard choices, and it's going to lose some people, I think, as you go along. But I think it's going to earn more people than it loses, just because it's engaging like that. And I saw an interview, because you mentioned Midnight Swim and Buster in kind of the same sentence. I saw an interview where you talked about how like they're sort of experiencing the same cosmological universe. Like I don't think that I'm not saying that they're like it's not like an MCU that you're creating of art house movies or something like that. But are you like do you think of the world in this way? Is this a way that kind of you think about how it's going?
I'm asking questions with each movie, and each movie takes me a little deeper down the rabbit hole. So yeah, it's not that I set out to be like, I'm going to be making 7 films that each say my theory of the universe, and then I'll have it all. But I am, I think all artists are attempting one. And I think if you're doing your job right and you're being serious about what you're doing, you're going to continue asking those questions. I felt like for me, The Midnight Swim was about this character who sort of saw very clearly for the first time the fabric of the universe, or like a possible way to like consciously walk that path of eternal occurrence, if you want to say. And in Buster, it's about a guy who sees it and says like, fuck that. Like it's about a rebellious heart, about somebody who has seen inside the machine and thinks it's kind of messed up. So I don't know. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if in my next one, I think it's hard to say because I'm in the middle of, or not in the middle, but at the beginnings of making my next one. And it's hard to say with clarity when you're in the beginning of the creative process whether that'll connect, like, whether this next character will have some other next step on that same journey. But I'm certainly asking all the same questions.
I love the questions, and I love the. So I don't think it's any secret or any spoiler that like Rami Malek's character, there's a split existence for him. So there's kind of a duality to the approach that you explore as you go along, and one takes one path, he goes and engages on the mountain, and I like there's the "Go Tell It on the Mountain" song that's engaged in it. So I see him as he's going up the mountain to argue his position, and the other man is headed out to sea to sort of he's running from dealing with the things from him. All right,
I like you totally. You got it. You get an A.
Nice validation. Very good.
Yeah,
I like
exactly. Exactly. You got it. I mean, it's a man. The incarnation of him that's going up the mountain is like charging up the mountain, seeking a reckoning with God, like trying to call the God or the gods or whatever, like to task for this like terrible thing. And meanwhile, we don't follow the story of the fisherman quite as closely, but in my mind, what happened is he went south and probably like drank himself to oblivion and tried to avoid asking those questions and avoid God and avoid the conversation. And I imagined he was like working on commercial fishing ships once in a while, and he ended up getting like swept out to sea, and it was forced to have this conversation. It was like forced to, like, the gods keep him alive out there. Like he wants to die, but they're like sending him frogs and like won't let him die. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of stretch the soul as far as it could go and look at both sides.
Oh shit, I like that. Stretch the soul as far as it could go. I need to write that down because I'm not going to steal it, but I'm definitely going to quote
fortune
it.
Cookie. That's fortune cookie.
I love it though.
Or do you guys ever do like I'm like totally susceptible and suggestible. I'm very superstitious. So like when I get a tea bag that has like one of those stupid bits of wisdom on the tag, sometimes I will like keep that shit for a year if it's meaningful to me.
I do the same thing, except so often, I crack a fortune cookie open and it's, German proverb says trees touch as far as the sky can go. And I'm just completely confused and confounded.
I think fortune cookies need better writers. In fact, I think that's a really fun idea. Someone should start like a better fortune cookie writing company.
What I also, looking at Buster's Malheart, I responded so positively towards, having, worked in retail, is what a horror story it is from a retail worker's point of view. I feel like that job, putting him in that hotel, is an exceptional way for you to explore your frustration and anger towards modern problems.
Because so many of our jobs are service jobs now in America. And there's something that's like decidedly soul-sucking about that. Like it's something that is very demeaning, implicit in sort of a service job, and especially one where there's kind of no relief and no respect. That kind of felt really true to life. And it came from when I wrote this movie, I had just been hustling for so many years, working as hard as I could just to support myself to be able to do my work as a filmmaker. And I just felt like I was on this treadmill that like would never stop and was only going faster and faster. And so I really felt that acutely. And I think that's where it comes from, of just like knowing what it's like to feel like you're at your breaking point.
Yeah, there's a line in the movie where Rami Malek's character says, "I just can't get any traction," and just like the way that Malek says traction in that moment, like I latch on to that also in the same way. Like there's so much truth to that. Like you can't. Feels like sometimes you put in all this work and you can't. Get
and where does it go? Where does it go? Like I don't even know. I don't understand where money goes. Like it's just like rent and food and insurance, and then it's gone. And if you're lucky, and that for so many years it was hard to even get that paid for. So yeah, I guess I feel like we're definitely of a generation where it is really hard to get traction, and in the way that previous generations, maybe it was a little easier to like buy a house or like have a 401k or like some sort of like even a savings account, for fuck's sake, like that just is so foreign to me. And certainly at the time I wrote this was even more of a distant dream. But I also, definitely some of that is personal in terms of just like having fantasies of just wanting to go off grid and like, why do we, it's a crazy thing that we do in this country, that we really work our entire lives, and for what? And you go to other countries that have high levels of poverty on paper, but a lot of times people are like with their families and surrounded by like animals and color and culture and fun. And like, as obvious, I'm not trying to discount the trials of poverty, which are clearly many and have a lot of suffering with them too. But I just think it's a weird trade-off we make sometimes.
Well, like our focus in America feels a lot like it's we do the career so that eventually we can get to the other stuff. And I think in other countries, what poverty or not, the focus is we do the other stuff and then we do the career to live while we're doing that. And they kind of flip it on their end. Or I don't know, maybe that's like really fucking general, but like
it's a pretty good way of looking at it though. I think we do have this like kind of the whole notion of retirement is really weird when you think about it. Of like, you work till you can't work anymore, and then you get to start living your life. And by that point, you're pretty much almost dead. So it's
man. I mean, you're right. Like it's really dark, but you're absolutely correct. I don't know. It's like
it's another fortune cookie. It really depressing.
I don't know. I worked nights for a long time, just trying to get traction at my work, and I watch what his character goes through in those night jobs, and like just the way that I don't know, that he winds up interacting with his family. Like, I mean, I think that's what's cool about Buster is that there's so much weird shit that's kind of like going on around it, and the way that it's kind of creating this world, but the path, the through line for the main character is totally 100% relatable. He's stuck on a fucking night shift. He doesn't like his job. He's got a young kid that he can't see, and he's stuck living with his in-laws in their house because they are trying to put together money to put up their stake or move on. Like it's fascinating to me that you could make something so eminently relatable in that way, but also so fantastical in the same way. Like, does that fall off the page for you when you're writing it, or is there hard work that goes into making that dynamic work?
It's hard to say because honestly, like my creative process for this was so far from like I really was kind of trying to stay away from my conscious mind, if that makes sense. So like I was I wrote it in pictures before I really wrote words down, and like I took a lot of walks in the woods, and like my only rule for myself, which was based off of a tea bag, and I'm not lying. I'm not even lying. I taped it to my desk. It said, "Let things come to you." So my rule for myself was that like I was not going to rush or push or really try. I was going to let things come to me. And every time something came to me, I made a little picture or a little note card, and then like eventually turned that into words and turned that into a document. And even, the shooting script for this was never fully scripted. It was like this 60-page like outline document with like a couple like images and kind of read a little bit more like a short story. But anyway, all that to say, because of my process wasn't maybe that traditional, it's sometimes hard for me to go back and like speak clearly about what my intentions were, because I was kind of just trying to get away from any sort of deliberation and make it more of like a pure intuition.
Would it be, do you have copies of those pictures? Like, would it be weird to just like, could you share those? Is that something that you feel open to sharing?
I could totally find them. I'm drawing one right now as we talk. It's weird.
Yeah. Well, Brad likes to draw pictures while we talk too, but they're not suitable for mention here.
No.
I don't know if this is suitable either. There's something kind of disgusting about what I'm drawing right now, but it's okay.
So, what was the inspiration for, following that process of, staying away from the conscious mind?
I think the Midnight Swim taught me that, because before I made the Midnight Swim, I was like hyper deliberate, and very much in my head. I studied philosophy, and it was analytical philosophy, which is like essentially you're just doing like logic at some point, and it's very in the brain. And then I was all set to make this bigger movie, and it kept falling apart, and it just like wrecked me. And out of the ashes of that ruined movie, The Midnight Swim came about, and it came about, I had to make because of necessity, just had to make something really quick. So I just like wrote this outline, and we went and made it. And I never had seen myself making an improv movie before, but The Midnight Swim basically taught me this other way to be a filmmaker, and this, which had so much more to do with listening and discovery than it did trying to like impose my ego's vision of the world on a film. And like, it just kind of opened me up in ways I wasn't expecting. And so I think I was just trying to allow for that again with Buster.
So you said in an interview that you kind of think of yourself as sort of a doula for your movies, and that kind of seems to play off of what you're saying here. Would you talk about a little bit what the relationship is like between your actors doing? I mean, because you got phenomenal performances out of both The Midnight Swim and Buster Small Heart, and and totally relatable characters that you connect with. So it's kind of mind blowing to me that it's improv. So what's that relationship like?
I just think it's a different paradigm of directing, and I think both are equally valid. But there's kind of one paradigm of directing where you're like the general of an army, and you're like ruthless and merciless and imposing your vision, and that's how you create great. And so much greatness has come of that. And I think I just realized that I do my best work in a different way, even though there are times that I need to be that general and push the ball up the mountain with brute force, which I can do as well. But like, I think what I realize is the best stuff comes when it's not about me, when I like take myself away from all that and really am just like open to like what is the magic available to us today. And I think I try to, I think actors are the smartest people in the world. So I try to cast good ones, and then really do my best to just create an environment where they can do their best work. And for me, it's more about creating a relationship of real trust, like real intimacy and trust. Like we would trust each other with our lives, kind of trust. And if you have that, then it's really just about like letting magic happen and just like whispering a little bit here and there. But it's certainly not about forcing wherever possible, because it's not a fun way to work that way. If you're having to like fight your movie rather than work with the natural. That's, I guess I'm going back to the doula thing here now, right? Because it's like I prefer a natural birth for a movie process. I prefer that you walk around and squat it out, and we'll talk you through it.
Well, midwifery as filmmaking is totally valid. Like I don't think that. Yeah, I don't think that that's a strange thing at all. I think it's a spectrum thing. You one way or the other way. I mean,
yeah,
whatever
exactly.
makes it fun.
I feel like again, this is like me being like a kooky, superstitious, crazy person, but I do. I feel like if I'm doing my job right, then the movie should be having a life of its own and fully formed without me. And it's my job just to like bring it into the world and like listen to who it wants to be. So, I think a lot of good artists feel that way, that you're like tapping into something that has nothing to do with you. You're just lucky enough to try and be a conduit, and you just do your best to like be an open conduit. And that all makes it sound very easy, but that's because it's really fucking hard. So it's still like, so much work, and so many like internal and external battles. But
so is this your process now? The improv movie, the piecing the puzzle together?
It's funny, but no, because I have 3 new projects now that are all fully scripted, and I think that once I get to set, we'll still have a certain level of, hopefully, like, here's the thing. The thing I like about improv is not that we're like making it up as we go along, because that's not it at all. Even the Midnight Swim and Buster is still very, like, there was never a time when we're like, what are we doing? It's always like super focused and we know beat by beat where we're going. But the thing I like about improv is that it just forces everybody to stay awake, really, like the most awake. It like puts a fire under everybody. There's no like script to fall back on. So I guess I hope to bring that spirit even to fully scripted work, if that makes sense, to like keep everybody on their toes in some way. And then maybe that'll be an interesting next challenge for me to like figure out how to bring that even to scripted work.
Honestly, hearing that this has been your process for Busters is a miracle to me, because it feels like such an intricately woven story and execution. I'm a bit floored by it, and I love that.
Oh, thanks. Well, I think I'm happy to like share the shooting document with you at some point. I mean, it was like it's funny when I read or when I last looked at the shooting document, it's not too far from what ended up on screen. So I think it really was worked out on the page. And I do think that's the key with improv movies is you could even have a 1-page outline, but the beats of the story have to be really worked out. Like the structure of that skeleton has to be pretty sound. And then once you've got that, you've got a lot of freedom when you start fleshing it out.
So what does it look like so set is a stressful place, I mean, just generally speaking, because there's a lot that has to be accomplished and there's never enough time to do everything that you want to. To me, that seems like a high tension environment to start trust building exercises. Like what's an example of like how, do you mind sharing like a personal anecdote about one of the ways that maybe you built some trust to help create that space, to create that protective bubble for them to do their creative process?
Well, if at all possible, and a lot of times it's not possible just based on schedules, but if at all possible, like trying to establish that connection before you get to set, I think is really important, even if it's just an hour-long conversation. For me, it's always just making it about the work. So I think that, it's not like I'm not trying to invade anyone. Sorry, can you hear my puppy in the back?
Yeah, it's okay.
Sounds adorable.
Yeah, exactly. When I say intimacy and trust, I don't mean I'm not trying to invade any actor's personal space or anything like that. It's just about the work. So it's really just about like making sure we're sharing a language about what the movie is about, and sort of sharing a language of what's at stake for both of us. And I think if you can get that, then you're set, really. And I don't know. I'm trying to think of a real specific. Oh, well, maybe it's easier on the Midnight Swim if you don't mind.
Go for it. Yeah.
The one that popped into my mind with the Midnight Swim, something I did that I thought was nice was because I really like when actors have secrets from me about their characters, because I think then you get to like watch and discover it as you're shooting. So I tried to like. I had each of the actors on the Midnight Swim write each other a letter in character, like write your sister a letter, write your mother a letter, and keep it sealed. And what I did, I had them all give me their sealed envelopes, and then as we were shooting, I would like pass out those envelopes at different times without looking at them myself. So like if Lindsay Burgess' character June wrote a letter to her sister, played by Alexa Palladino, Issa, like I would give that to Issa maybe like on the second day, but I wouldn't know what was inside. And it was really fun because then all of a sudden the family is real. Now it's a real family. They have secrets and stuff that I have to spy on and learn about and look for. And I think that was kind of a nice way to. They realized how much I trusted them too by doing that. I'm not asking them to unpack everything for me verbally, which they shouldn't have to. I want them to have like an inner life that I don't know about yet.
Yeah, I love that anecdote. So first of all, I think that's perfect. That's really, really interesting. So we talked with Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead about The
Cool.
Endless, and
Cool.
Which is, by the way, that movie is so good.
I can't wait to see it. I'm so excited, and they're in it.
Yeah, and they're good. They're like real good. They're like the kind of good where you're like, what the fuck can these guys not do?
Really? Oh my God, they're so brave. That seems terrifying to me. I'm so excited to see it.
That is exactly the response that I had. Was, oh man. But sorry, so I got sidetracked. So one of the things that they kind of talked to us about that was they talked with how when they were kind of pitching the idea to actors, especially actors in the ensemble who had kind of smaller roles, that they would have kind of these extensive conversations with them where they sort of like lay out like the Bible of their movie, you know, where like, look, we know what's going on in this place. It's very mysterious. You know, we kind of drop the viewer in it, sort of like we're dropped into Buster. But here's what we think is the story that's going on. And then they kind of pass the baton to them and let the actors to develop that things. When you're chatting with your actors, like it sounds like how much of it do you convey to them about what you think this world is and what's going on with it? And how much, like, how do you learn to draw the line for what you share and what you don't share?
I probably don't censor myself in that regard. I try to let them in on what's going on in my head about the movie as much as possible. But then I also, you know, try to get something from them about what they think, or at least ask questions and like put those questions in their head. But I'm not I'm not precious about like information in terms of what's coming from me. I try to be really open with them. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, I know some people. I know there are some directors who they don't even give you the script until the day of, and then you're just like looking at pages and you don't know where it's going. And I think that's also really interesting too. But I guess I think of actors as like the good ones are real craftspeople, and storytellers. And so I think letting them in on that, like where their character weaves through the story and how their character serves the story is useful for the smartest actors, I think.
Well, without you spoiling anything in the film, if this is possible, was there something that the actors brought or held secret from you that truly surprised you and moved the film in a unique direction or a different direction than you had intended?
Yeah, so many different things. The one that jumped into my mind as you're asking that was actually because we worked with this 2.5-year-old girl, Suka Bell Potter, who is just a light on screen.
She's so adorable.
She really set the tone for all of us because, 2.5-year-olds don't know how to lie yet. Not really. And so what was great is like there was no acting allowed around her or with her, you know. It was like it was more documentary style, and so I think she like kept everybody really honest, but also like was full of these like prolific surprises that we were just like, how did that come out of her mouth? She's a genius storyteller. What? Like it was crazy. The very first thing we shot with her, like the very first take, as Caitlin Shields' character is pushing her down the hall, and then she's saying goodnight to Rami's character, Jonah. Like she started singing this song for them, and it was just like the most natural, beautiful thing, and it ended up kind of informing in so many ways the tone of that family.
She is painfully cute.
We actually had to like cut. She is so cute. We had to cut a bunch of scenes with her out because it was like so cute that it was like distracting from everything else. Because it was so good. I was like, oh, I could just watch more of that character all the time.
Yeah, you could totally see the light in her because there's a couple of scenes where she's just kind of free to interact with them. That like that light that comes out so much in her. I don't. It's funny when you see kind of the child actors kind of sometimes where they come on the thing. I think 2.5 is an age where kind of you get what that kid is like, and she must. I bet she's just like, I don't know. She just seems very full of life for a 2.5.
It was important for me to cast a kid young enough that they didn't know how to lie. Because I think it is, some child actors can be great, but I think that's definitely an extra challenge for sure, because children really want to please you. And so they're trying to give you what they think you want, and that can come out as really fake.
So I was going to say, I like that turn of phrase though, that they don't know how to lie yet. What are you thinking in your head when you mean by lie? Can you expand on that a little bit?
Well, I think we all get to the age of reason and the age of self-consciousness where all of a sudden we have a sense of our identity and how people are perceiving us. And so we start to put on masks to please people, and we start to try things out to try and, it's really all just about trying to be loved in various ways. But I think there's just like that really pure time with kids before they fully even have a concept that other people are judging them. And it's kind of, it's the state of mind we're all trying to get back to desperately. And we all go to therapy in search of like trying to get back to that state of mind. But yeah, does that make sense? Is that kind of what you were asking?
No, that totally makes sense. Yeah, that's what I was digging into. It's just an interesting turn of phrase to me. I like that. I don't know. I like the way that you speak, and I like the choice of words that you use to kind of express the thoughts that you're thinking. And I mean that comes through in Buster, but like I'm a little bit taken aback by like the turns of phrase that you're kind of just dropping out here in the course of the conversation. Because like anytime that I say something halfway clever, go ahead.
I was gonna say, does that mean I don't completely like I sound like a reliable person, not a complete crazy person, which is good.
No, you sound like the dangerous kind of crazy, where you don't realize that they're totally crazy until you're an hour deep.
Exactly, it's how I can seduce you into my lair and then like make you part of my cult.
It's all that wisdom on the teabag labels.
Exactly.
So, you going back to the inspirations for the film and the pseudoscience and the inversion, I mean, was that something that you had already had researched, or how deep did you dig to tell the crazy of Buster's Malheart?
Real deep. Okay, how do I even start this? Well, so I've had like, oh God, this could get too personal, but I'll just try it. I like definitely have had real dangerous flirtations with mental illness in the sense of like I would have these, especially when I was on drugs, let's be honest. But like the first time happened in college, I used to be able to smoke marijuana all the time, and then at one point like a window opened and I could never shut it, and I kept having like the same really intense visions of I guess you could call it a kind of cosmology, or like sort of visions of how the universe works. And like, so I just, and then I actually, never, because it got kind of dangerous for me, I stopped smoking pot altogether. I really can't do it. Like not even a toke, like even like one toke, and I'm weirdly like back in the thick of it for 12 hours. It's really intense. So I try not to do that. But then, so I think the Midnight Swim kind of came out of that first stuff that I had been seeing. And then after the Midnight Swim, in my last day of the sound mix, I decided to go take ayahuasca, which was probably like such a bad idea. But I went from like, I'm never doing drugs again, like, I'll just take a quick little ayahuasca trip.
I love that. Yes, continue, please.
I'm glad you made it back from your trip.
Just barely, you guys. I am barely here. Yeah. So and then so I think perhaps the really intense ayahuasca visions, like in combination with just sort of daily meditative thinking, was the equivalent of research, I guess, for this. But I'm someone who is very scientifically minded, actually. I think that's one of my conflicts in life, is that, I have an education in analytical philosophy, which is like ruthlessly skeptical. And I come from a family of scientists, and, was raised Jewish, but like lost faith in God pretty quickly when I started reading. And I think, so I've always had this conflict inside of me of wanting the world to be both rational and magical. And I think those things are like constantly in tension. And so, yeah, it's not that I didn't do any sort of more traditional research for this. I certainly am always reading things, but it wasn't like I like read one book or one theory and was like borrowing from that necessarily.
Well, that certainly comes through in Buster Smallheart, that struggle between, you know, the religious and the rational.
Yeah, even now. I mean, even now I feel like, oh, here's my, they're going to start barking. Hey, babe. Hi. Yeah, I mean, what was I going to say? Even now, I think it's like a daily thing for me where the more you start to kind of give yourself over to the possibility of like magic, or if not magic, just something beyond what we could understand, the more I feel myself slipping into and worrying that, does that just mean I'm going crazy, you know? Because I always have that tendency to just think, like, diagnose myself, basically. So I think, I was gonna say, I think it's a fear of mine. Like, losing my mind is a very real and present fear of mine, and also just like based on like family history and what's happened with them. So, yeah.
So, so that struggle for the like a world of magic, and you're reflecting on that on a daily basis. Is that are you thinking, what's a higher power? Is the magic out there? Is that a higher power? Is it something that's out there that you're pulling from?
I don't think it's that glamorous. Like, the one thing I feel certain about, maybe not certain, but the one thing I'm pretty sure about is that the universe is incredibly beautiful and incredibly sort of clumsy and haphazard, and sort of like there's nothing really graceful about it. Grace is very rare. And it's funny because I think we're little greedy humans. We always want things to be graceful and so clean. But I mean, that was kind of where the humor of Buster came from. I had this, one of the early visions I had was of this mountain man who's like storming up the mountain to call upon the gods, and he just keeps fucking slipping in the snow over and over again. And like, just the sad absurdity of that, like, feels really how, like, what life is for me. So like at the end, oh, I shouldn't say the spoiler. This is just for you guys. But at the end, when the deputy and the ranger are like climbing up to the cave, like, that's why they're kind of like slipping and falling and just like there's just,
Gotcha.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that's. By the way, I'll just drop a little note that says I don't think that's a spoiler, honestly, at all, because the way that Buster opens up, anyways, is that action
That's
is in
true.
progress.
The whole bookend.
Yeah,
that's true. It's true.
Yeah,
cool.
But yeah, no, but shit. Sorry, that was a really good answer. I like that. I like that exploration. I don't know. I like to talk when, you know, because people. I think some people think a lot about that sort of thing, and they think a lot about like what their place is in the world, and sort of how we act and how we are reactive to this thing that we're forced to engage with by just existing.
We don't get to choose to be born, and we certainly don't get to choose our circumstances. And you know, I think that I'm under no illusions that I'm special. I think, you know, or even that Earth is special. But at the same time, Earth is so fucking beautiful and miraculous, and it feels very special. And I think, you know, same with like sort of each of us, the way we feel about ourselves. Like, no one else is going to have this point of view of life but you, right? Like, you are in your own rad fucking camera that goes around and like has all these incredibly unique perceptions, like an incredibly intricate woven narrative over a lifetime. And that is miraculous and so special. So I just think, you know, it seems to me there's just like this beautiful paradox of being yes and no at the same time, all the time. And I think in some ways that's where that diagram of the universe comes from. He keeps drawing over and over again, but it's
Yes, I agree with everything that you just said intensely. So then that makes me want to ask you, that diagram that he draws has two assholes.
Yes.
So where...
I'm all about sphincters in the movie.
Yeah, that's evident.
Yeah. You have a question about it? It just seems real.
No, fuck. I just wanted to say there's two assholes in the diagram, and I love that.
We considered briefly changing the name of the movie to Two Assholes.
Oh man, that's brutal.
Right? It's pretty good.
But perfect.
It's pretty good. But we were afraid the problem is then the marketing would sort of follow suit and everyone would think they're going to go see a Seth Rogen movie. And we were like, oh, that's probably not right. But
you're just going to have to change it for the DVD release.
Exactly. Or maybe like a fan release poster or someone can do a Two Assholes.
Yeah, get whoever distributes it on Blu-ray, just get them to do a little flip cover. And they could turn that thing around and have the Two Assholes cover art. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, shit. Well, we're figuring stuff out right now.
I'll get on the phone with Criterion.
Amazing. Yeah, would you? Would you?
Yeah, sure.
That'd be a career high to get on the Criterion.
Yeah. That, in my imaginary connections, I could get you on the CriterionCast.com, but that's it.
Ooh, .com.
So we're having a little bit of fun. I kind of would like to ask a little bit of a fun question. Brad and I were talking before you called over, and he mentioned a bit of IMDb trivia that is attached to this movie. And it was that you described at Fantastic Fest you liken Buster Smallheart to what were the two movies? I want to make sure we get it right.
To Donnie Darko meets Bad Santa.
Oh yeah, that's accurate. That's fun that somebody wrote that on IMDb.
That is out there in the world. So my question is, can you explain that? Because I would like to know more.
Oh, well, because I try to think of what's the best way to set expectations for and to get people in to go see it, but also kind of set their expectations for what they're about to see. So Donnie Darko sets the expectation like this is going to be a mind bender and like a psychological adventure that is character driven and dark and hopefully a little bit of funny. But what I like about The Bad Santa is like I think of Buster Smallheart as a Christmas movie, and it's like it was smudgeny sort of like character. So I don't know. I felt like it was just I think that I said it was like Donnie Darko with a dash of Bad Santa. So just that's the dash is like Christmas and curmudgeon.
Well, and also, speaking of service industry, being the mall Santa and the night clerk at a hotel, you see the same crap.
Sequel. Ooh. I can't imagine trying to make Buster Smallheart too. That I would not know how to do that.
Well, Billy's thinking about it. He's
you guys.
Give me a few hours. I'm gonna send you an email with no paragraph breaks and no character spacing. Really, it'll just be a stream of consciousness.
That's how it should be. That would be great.
Well, fucking A. All right.
We're in business. We just made a deal.
All right. Sorry, I got wildly off track, and I have totally lost my place in the conversation.
That's okay. We should just talk about anything now. How are you guys?
Doing pretty good. Life is good. How about you?
Yeah, I'm real good too.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I just wanted to say that, Buster Smallheart for Billy and I certainly really struck a chord for us.
Yeah.
And, when we saw it at Lost Weekend at the Alamo Winchester, you're watching 23 movies in 3 days. And when you have a film that really, busts through the wall of fatigue, of movie watching fatigue, like the way Buster Smallheart did, I found it to be a tremendously special film. And I'm really excited for the rest of the world to hit it and those 30 cities to expand.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Wait, which of you was the one who didn't like as much as the other two? Speak up.
Whoa, no, incorrect. That was me,
Are you
Darren.
The quiet guy.
Yeah. Oh, well, I didn't dislike the film. I just want to be clear. I gave it 3 stars.
Oh, shit.
Wait,
I'm just being honest. I'm just being honest.
Right, and I can be honest as well.
I'm just being honest. There was nothing about the film that I disliked. I was very much engaged from.
Wait, did you review it?
No, on Letterboxd.
Oh.
So it's not. Doesn't really count. It's just Letterboxd.
Okay.
Okay.
She was about to come for you, though.
Well, that's fine.
Yeah, you could feel it, right? You can feel me through the Skype.
I'm sweating.
Oh, I'm not scared. Because I did not dislike the film. I'm just saying, Brad and Billy, they loved the film. I just really enjoyed the film. I'm not gonna lie and say I loved it.
I don't want you to lie to me.
But
Here's what I want you to do.
Yes.
Okay, we can do this. I want you to just don't see it for a while. Give it some time. Then go take a nice long walk before you see it. And then watch it. And then we will talk again.
I absolutely agree. From when the credits start rolling, I could tell it's while watching it, it feels like one of those films that upon a second or third watch, there will be things that I didn't get or weren't able to fully process during my first watch. And that's evident from the opening of the film.
You guys can tell I'm obviously I'm incredibly insecure, and I want everybody doesn't love it all the way, then I feel like I haven't done my job.
Do not worry.
And that's why it's really dangerous for me to go on the internet.
This is what's going to happen.
Yeah,
I'm gonna take him on that walk. I'm gonna take him on that walk through the woods.
And you guys do it silently. You can hold hands, but don't say a word.
We will not talk.
Do not talk. And if you have to go barefoot, do it barefoot. And then maybe I would make yourself, I was going to say a cup of tea, but I think a good vegetable juice, then watch the movie.
We're going to do that, and then I'll Facebook Live it.
Yes. It sounds really Indian. You can all watch. I can't remember her name, but
Darren.
dude number
Should I get
3.
high first?
Darren. You can all watch dude number 3, Darren. Yes, you can also get high. Watch the movie.
Because I don't know. Well,
no ayahuasca.
You know when you said, well, you know what? When you told that story, that struck a chord with me because I had a similar experience. Well, it was my last time smoking weed, where I had. And I've told this to the people here, but I had the experience where I knew everything. I knew the answers to everything. I knew what dogs think. I knew what babies think. I knew why the letter R is shaped the way it is. Just weird shit. I knew everything. And it was the most profound and horrifying thing ever. I knew where the end of the universe was. It's so weird. Was your experience similar to that?
Wait, Darren, yeah, take a walk. Get in that zone. Then watch it.
That's a scary fucking place. That was nuts.
Yeah. Well, maybe you should man up and get there.
Again? I think I pissed on myself the last time.
You gotta keep going. Don't avoid it. That's not my fault you're avoiding that shit.
I was crawling on the floor of my apartment by myself.
Yeah.
That shit was weird. All right.
You gotta live in that. You gotta get comfortable with that.
All right, and I gotta live stream that.
Yes.
Well, now, yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, if you promise to tune in,
I'm just saying for your own spiritual evolution.
Okay. All right. I'll take that.
All right,
challenge.
That's my pitch. I'll stop now.
And then check his letterbox.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Exactly. That shit better be 5, or I'm gonna have another talk.
If I return. All right. Okay. Too easy. I can do that. I'm not scared. Gotcha.
All right. You're awesome.
Thank you. You're awesome.
So, does anybody have any questions that we feel like?
Yes, I have a question.
Yes,
so,
thank you.
DJ Qualls, what was why cast him? Because he just has such. It's so weird because I go from seeing him in something like The New Guy, if that whatever that movie was called, and then seeing him in this, I never would have thought that as he aged, he would have such an interesting visage. He has a really you just automatically feel something's off with that guy. What was the choice behind casting DJ Qualls?
He does. Well, in truth, that was a really happy accident because originally my buddy Mark Webber was supposed to play that part, and then Mark got busy with something else at the last minute, and we were really in a crazy pinch, and just were bumping up on. I think we were we didn't cast DJ till 2 days before we started shooting with him.
Wow.
Yeah, it was actually really nuts and really stressful. But like as tends to happen, like he was the man for that part. I mean, he was like born to play that part. And for me, it was really exciting to try and show DJ Qualls. Like the direction I gave him was like, you have the biggest dick on the planet.
That came through.
And I wanted to like have a super fucking confident DJ Qualls, which I think we hadn't really seen before.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate his character so much. That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. And so now when I go back and watch it, I'm like, that dude's got a big dick. I can't see it, but he's got a big dick.
Fucking python. Yeah, exactly.
So what else? So let's talk about something. What are you watching now? That's not your movies that you're not making. Like what are you watching that you're digging on? What are you watching? What are you reading?
I just read Aldous Huxley's After Many a Summer Dies the Swan, which I had read before years ago, and I'm just like so in love with it, and I would like love to make it into a movie someday. Yes. It's super fucking interesting story wise, and then it had like in the middle is just like this beautiful philosophical rant that goes on for like 100 pages. And then what I'm watching is what did I just watch recently? I'm excited to watch the new season of Fargo, but haven't quite started that yet. But that show's really brilliant. And I need to like make a list because this is always a hard question for me. Oh, I loved Atlanta. That was me. So fucking good. Yeah. And I thought Big Little Lies was really, really great. Surprisingly great. What else? Name some things and I'll tell you if I like them because I'm drawing blanks.
Well, theatrical, have you gone to see Get Out?
Oh, I love Get Out. That was ridiculous. It was so good. Felt like with Get Out, it was so successful at being really funny and truly scary at the same time, which is hard to do. And then like at the very end, spoiler, I guess, for anyone who still hasn't seen it, but at the very end, this guy's gone through so much, and like you think he's almost going to be okay, and then a cop car pulls out, and your heart drops, and you're like, oh shit, the cop is going to shoot him, and it just like hits you so hard in the heart, and then it turns out to be his buddy, and you're like pumping your fist in the air with relief. And I think what a brilliant piece of social commentary. I'm in awe. That the filmmaker was smart enough to achieve that in such a sort of commercial, satisfying way for such a large audience. I think he's a total genius, and I'm very jealous.
Ditto. And are you the type of person who gets excited about, the Last Jedi trailer?
I did not know that came out, so that probably answers your question.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Quick question: are you going to be at Fantastic Fest this year?
Oh, I hope so. That's like definitely one of my favorite, if not favorite, festivals to go to. I went for the first time last year, and I was like, oh, I get why people love this place.
Same thing.
It's like truly about the celebration of movies and culture and music and food. It was just like a really fun place to be. So I'd love to go again if I can.
Yeah, we'll be there. So hopefully we'll get to see you and say hi.
Awesome. That would be great.
And report back on Darren's letterbox.
Exactly.
So wait. We just...
He's a changed man when I see him at Fantastic Fest.
Yeah, because we just established you guys are going to be co-located in the same space in like 6 months' time, right? So
that's your deadline. That's when you have to do it by.
Are we gonna be participants in the debates? Are you gonna kick my ass in the ring, in the boxing ring?
Oh, that'd be hilarious to debate my movie with you. Just be like that fucking self-centered and insecure. Yeah.
The boxing match between the filmmaker and the "that was okay" letterbox reviewer.
3 star.
Oh man.
Oh Jesus.
All right.
We could propose it. Well, we'll ask.
All right.
All right, guys. Well, you guys are awesome. This was super fun.
All right. Well, I have one last question, and then we'll wind it down. I like to ask everybody that comes on, what single moment? I mean, you've made a couple of movies now, and you've been at this for a while. What single moment do you look back at that kind of gets you through the rough patches, that brings you the most satisfaction, the most gratitude for the choice that you've made to invest your time in filmmaking?
Whoa.
The last question.
Yeah. So just toss that off if you could.
Yeah, that's a doozy of a difficult question. What single moment like reminds me why I chose this godforsaken, difficult career.
Exactly.
It's not a good answer, but I'll give it to you. I think
as long as it's an honest answer.
Yeah, I think for me, when I'm writing and I'm in the flow of writing and I lose myself completely, then I wouldn't trade that for anything, and it's all worth it for that. But I guess there are sort of a couple points like that. Like, one is in the writing, when you're just finally finding the life of something that's so thrilling to actually feel like, oh wait, this is actually something that feels like it has a life of its own. That's incredibly thrilling. And then the first time you're on set and it's starting to come together, and like you're now watching this thing take on even further life of its own. That's also incredibly gratifying. And someday, hopefully, I'll be secure enough to like have that moment where it's gratifying to watch with an audience. But right now, it's more like I just am a ball of, I just like hate everything, and like I'm just like, I hate when people like cough if they get up to go to the bathroom. I hate them. I hate when people like eat popcorn or like swallow their Diet Coke too loud. Like if it were up to me, I would like create very strict watching conditions. I think that I've learned that the process, those little rare moments of tapping in, are what make it worthwhile, and that's truly the reward, because someday all of our hard drives will be fried, and even Shakespeare will be forgotten, and the earth will end, and so none of it actually matters in terms of like the results of things, but I think the point of all of it is to find some truth in the process, and hopefully you'll like live the best life you can by doing that.
God damn. That's a really good answer. I like it.
Fortune cookie!
All right. So let's see. Are you out there on the social medias? Do you do Twitter?
Yeah.
So where can people find you?
Yeah. I'll retweet your tweet when you tweet.
Well, we will tweet. It will have been tweeted, and then it will have been retweeted, and now something will have happened in the social media universe.
So where can people find you on Twitter?
Oh, do I have to say all that? It's just my name, Sarah Adina Smith, and it's I think the same on Instagram. I think I'm just like, I never picked a cute name. I think it's just all three of my names, Sarah Adina Smith.
Nice. All right. Well, this has been a lot of fun. Thank you so much for spending your time with us. I now know a lot more about how drugs inform the creative process. That's exciting.
Yeah.
But no, you were a trip to talk to. Thank you so much for spending your time with us. And everybody go see Buster Small Heart. That movie's fucking good, Darren.
Yep. I agree. I've said it. I said it was good.
All right. Well, thank you.
You guys are awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, Sarah Adina Smith. As I said, cool interview, right? Things got a little heated in the end.
Yeah, Darren.
Yeah, but
I mean, I know that you got to do you, and I respect that, and I think that's important. But goddamn, man, why you gotta not like this movie? It's good.
I didn't say I didn't like it. See, we're gonna have an episode that deals specifically with star ratings on Letterboxd, because this is a very particular topic. There's layers to this shit. So,
yes.
But that aside, I had fun listening to the interview. I had fun with my participation in the interview. At the end of the day, I would have to think that she had to respect me for keeping it real and being honest.
At the end of the day, all you dorks out there need to start tweeting the Disco Dork about #barefoot_walkabout.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Tag me in that. I'll retweet it.
Well, no, because that's going to happen. And you guys are going to meet at Fantastic Fest. And there'll be conversations had, and that should be like a thing.
We're going to
see that happen live.
And chat and some drinks at the Highball. We'll talk Buster's Mount Heart. I'm very open to that happening. So, yeah, I look forward to it.
Nice.
So we hope you all enjoyed the interview. Stay tuned. We have some more stuff coming up. Who's coming up next?
So let's see. We just had...
we are confused
so much
because we've just done an entire week of Tribeca coverage, and it's all coming out at different times. So just be on the lookout for a Shallow Pocket project.
Yeah. So Benson and Moorhead for sure about The Endless will have run. Jamie Dagg's interview about Sweet Virginia, both of which are very good movies and you should seek out. Then Sarah Smith's Buster Small Heart. Coming up next week, we've got we've got the director of The Lure is going to come and talk to us, and that'll be the next Shallow Pocket project post Tribeca.
All right, so be on the lookout for that. Also, for our regular ITMOD listeners, the ITMOD Film Club Die Hard is coming up soon.
Yes.
Be on the lookout for the ITMOD month at the Alamo in Winchester.
Yes.
We have gotten confirmation on the films that we will be screening, so be on the lookout for more info regarding that. But every weekend in the month of May, one of us dorks will have an opportunity to host and screen a film of our choosing there. So we're very excited about that. And also be on the lookout for our ITMOD Spotlight Bruce Lee episodes. I believe the second film in the series is going to be coming out soon, and that is Fist of Fury. So, stay tuned. A lot of content from In the Mouth of Dorkness on the way. Billy, tell the people where they can find you.
So you can find me on the Twitters at WBDAS. And if we haven't said it, The Midnight Swim is on Netflix Instant right now. So it is literally a click away. I recommend that you check it out. It is a beautiful, beautiful, very deep movie.
Brad Gullickson, Mouth Dork.
Find me on all social medias at Mouth Dork.
All right, you can find me dealing with the inversion at the Disco Dork on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and Letterboxd, where my rating is 3 stars, but it may change because I'm about to take this challenge. So that's going to do it for us. Thank you all for listening, and until next time.
Just go watch it.
Yep.